Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Good. I don't know what time of day it is you're watching. Yeah. So it's the interweb. These things just go on and on and on forever. So good.
Yeah.
Nice to see you here. And welcome to the show.
Looks like it's daytime for you. Looks like it's nighttime for me. We are getting really good at this pre-recording.
We're in different time zones.
Yeah.
I'm south of the river.
And I'm in Hertfordshire. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's different. It's like different on the equator.
A couple of years.
I'm closer to the Greenwich Mean Time.
No.
Yeah, closer to Greenwich than you are.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah. That's not how time zones work.
Yeah, but it's like like when you're on a spinny thing and you get closer and closer to the middle, it goes faster and faster and faster. The closer you get to Greenwich, faster time goes.
Right. Conservation of angular momentum.
Yeah, that's why it's called mean time. Because it's vicious once you get close
in the meantime. But you know the whole meridian line.
Yeah.
Goes up. It's straight. I'm nearer to it than you are because you're to the other side of London.
Yeah, but that's distance is relative.
It is. You're right. If we were traveling at different speeds, we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. We should definitely.
I'm in daytime and you're in nighttime, so something's going on.
Good God, that makes a lot of sense. This is the worry. I love having science conversations until you start to make sense, and I start thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna have to hand the degree back. Because every so often, I reckon, especially when you get older, they should test you again. If you've got a degree, it's like a driving license. Yeah, you can pass when you're 17, but eventually you need to be retested. Some people with degrees really should have to just check in on a basic multiple choice test.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have a degree in theater arts, so.
Yeah, someone needs to retest that. How's the performance going these days?
Well, I'm here.
Yeah. In your dress for the part as well? I see you've gone buttons all the way to the top.
Well, it's a choice. If you're looking at the button, then you're not looking at the spot on my nose, which you'll notice I don't have my glasses on, which I have pretty much on every other episode. But I don't have my glasses on because they're rubbing, they rub and it's hot. So it's moist under my nose. And that moistness is causing inflammation.
Wow. Do give money on the Ko-fi link if this is the kind of stuff you want online. I mean, this could be an OnlyFans spin-off that we've been looking for. Eric says...
My moist nose.
Yeah. Oh, dear me.
And my moist, spotty nose.
Ugh. Normally, I'm smarter as well, but I have done that thing where I'm still dressed down like it's summer. The heat wave has definitely stopped here. We've had a massive downpour a couple of times. It's cold, if anything. But I just could not be bothered to go and fetch a different outfit. So, in fact, I'll do these ones down to look a bit neater. But I'm dressed like a man who did not work out what the weather was doing.
Well, I mean, it's muggy down here, but again, closer to the equator, so it's a completely different topographical.
You are closer to the equator. You are further away from the Greenwich Meridian line,
but closer to Greenwich.
Yes. I love how you pull the look on your face like that proves you're right. That's brilliant. This is like having a science conversation with Louis Schaefer. I have to do enough of those these days.
Oh, dear. So welcome to the show. We're going to solve some problems as we go through the news. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. You can contribute. I know I need some new soap for my face, so the money would be well spent.
Yeah, give whatever you can, but do give.
Could we do a fundraiser off the back of this, do you think?
We should do a fundraiser at some point. Definitely we need funds to be raised.
To help with my moist nose.
The moist nose fundraiser. Ugh. Ugh.
Give now, generous. I can't even.
I'm not sure I want to.
Luckily, the way the light is, the spot is on the shadow side of my face.
That's what you should have done. You should have moved the lighting just to entirely do yourself inside shadow.
Actually, no. That's the spot. You can see it. Damn it.
Oh, yeah, you should have just gone. Hang on, where's one of my lights to try and recreate? I don't think I can. No,
yeah.
Can't do it in time. Can't do it in time.
Anyway, what's happening, Steve?
There's one topic that I wanted to talk about, even though the problem might have been solved already. It's this one. Boris Johnson. They've done the thing. They've had the committee. They did some results. We spoke previously about how he stepped down and all that. He resigned, but then the Parliament still did the vote anyway, and it's official. Boris Johnson denied special access to Parliament as MPs endorsed reports which said he lied. He now will not get subsidised drinks. This was one of my highlights of it. I don't know if you watched it, but there was a bit where they were debating it before they took a vote. Theresa May really went in with studs high, went in with both feet. It was the political version of when in a fight scene in a film, one of them just pulls the knife out of their own back and uses it. It was, oh, she enjoyed every second of that. It had the same level of vitriol as most interviews about Philip Schofield. But anyway, so he won't get subsidised drinks, which will be a surprise to him. He might end up having to pay for something. It's going to be very awkward for him. So I definitely have sympathy. They found that he lied. There have been lots of Boris supporters saying, the usual stuff like there's no evidence. You can't say what he was thinking. There's no evidence that he was definitely aware that he was misleading when he was misleading. I blame it on a lefty woke Remainer conspiracy done by a committee that was mainly Tory Brexiters. So that makes a lot of sense. Do you know what I mean? It's a good thing. But how can you get inside someone's head and know if they were lying or not? It's very difficult. But what you do is you look through the past, a body of work to show character. So I thought today we'd just take a brief stroll through some of the lies that Boris Johnson, that's the blob thing, never mind, some of the lies that Boris Johnson has done. Okay. Yes, this article is from The Guardian, so please feel free to attack the source rather than any of the points that are raised, because that is definitely easier. Well done.
Yeah.
So, some of the lies that Boris Johnson has done historically. Wallpaper gate. This is the one that just seems so pointless, because he had some wallpaper that was paid for by someone. Just say it. I mean, you don't have to lie over it. If Boris Johnson had said, oh yeah, I got some free wallpaper, would have just walked on and be like, yeah, it makes sense. And he'd be, oh yeah, Mrs. wanted new wallpaper. Knock yourself out. I don't think anyone would have thought whoever's paying for that wallpaper has a lot of control in government. Cash for questions is a very different thing to just, a bit of wallpaper help there. The most upsetting thing about that story for me was when we heard, I think there was leaked information of what Carrie had said about number 10 Downing Street when Theresa May left it. And she described it as something like a John Lewis nightmare. How dare you? How dare you? Some of us aspire to a John Lewis nightmare. I'm currently in an Aldi nightmare. Do you know how much I would love to be in a John Lewis nightmare? I have to try and buy things from a middle aisle. My wallpaper is currently a scuba diving outfit. That's the only thing they were doing that week, so I had to just slice it up and put it on the wall. So don't come here giving it some anti-John Lewis BS, Carrie, if that is your real name. I think this is the big lie. This is the one that Boris Johnson will be synonymous with this lie forever. It's the Brexit spending one, written on the side of a bus. And since then, I stopped believing anything I saw written on buses. Oh. Which means I've been stood there thinking, number 8 Stratford. Yeah, of course it fucking is. I'm not falling for that again. And I've not been anywhere on a bus since. If we actually look at the bus, I think there is some clever wordplay in there, really. Because it doesn't actually say that the two sentences are linked. We send the EU £350 million a week. Anyway, let's fund our NHS instead. Just move on. No, they don't actually say that top number comes down to the bottom number. It's very much like, what's the other thing they did? Because that could have just been, let's fund the NHS. Oh, we already are. Job done. Right? In the same way that they promised 40 hospitals. And then it turns out since then, the 40 new hospitals that they promised will include some hospitals that aren't new. Now, a lot of people judge the government for that. Not me. I am adopting the same strategy. Right? In the same way that they said you can have 40 new hospitals, and the ones that you've already got, they count. Next year, for my partner's birthday, I will get her something nice, which may include what I got her last year for a birthday. She liked it, so why would I not simply give her that again? So there you go. It's her fault for enjoying it. In the same way that I say to the government, yes, at the end of this year, I will do my self-assessment form, and I will send you all that new tax that I owe you. I might include some of last year's tax that I've already paid. So a lot of this year's new tax, it'll be old tax, but you fucking started it. Another lie that Boris Johnson told. He misled the Queen.
Oh,
That's got to hurt his core voter, hasn't it? Because he told the Queen that she was the only woman in his life and he wasn't seeing any other women, and that hang on, I may have skipped ahead. I may have ever so slightly skipped ahead to extramarital affair. 2004, he was fired by the Tory leader, Michael Howard, for lying about having an affair. This is another one where no one is surprised. That one is baked in. There were articles, even in The Guardian this week, about how we all know Boris Johnson is a liar, so why are we surprised? We kind of thought that was the lie. Like, he was going around keeping his N wet, as I believe... no, the Amy Winehouse song. It's a lyric from an Amy Winehouse song. Don't judge me.
Still.
Don't disrespect her by judging that sentence. And but it's different to lying in Parliament, isn't it? I mean, yes, people say it's baked in, and he probably thought, I get away with all of these lies. I have my Jennifer Arcuri. I go around and get my tech advisor who shows me the tech. Yeah, she's got a pole dancing pole in the front room, and I'm learning tech, which mainly includes how to put batteries in things. But it's no wonder he thought he'd get away from it. Get away with it. You know, the standard Tory voter who likes Boris Johnson doesn't want Boris Johnson to be truthful. They just want him to win, to beat the lefties, to beat the people they've been told to hate. The other time he lied, we've got some more to go through. This one, in the 1980s, he was sacked by the Times over a front page article where he just made up a quote. Imagine being too sneaky for journalists. We see all of this court case about phone hacking and realised those scummy people who would hack people's phones looked at Boris Johnson's work and was like, oh, come on, mate. You can't do that. You can't just sit there and make up a quote. I mean, people have said things about how bad it is. Here we are. Here's one from Michael Howard. Boris Johnson is a compulsive liar. He's more bent than Uri Geller's cutlery drawer. I just made that up, but apparently that's what you could do. So there we go. So he's gone. He's resigned. He's had the suspension and special access removed. And what an end to a career. I'm sure there'll be the most ironic leaving do ever. But in fact, I'm being told we can cross to the leaving do now. Well, that's close enough, isn't it? Yeah. Certainly a do that meant that he left. So there we go. Boris, will you miss Boris Johnson?
Well, I just think it's such an unfair stitch-up. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. He was advised that they were not parties.
Yeah.
He was advised. Now, of course, when they said who was he advised by, he was advised by his PR representative, not any scientists or any government officials who knew any better about the law or about the events themselves, but he was advised by someone without any basis of knowledge. And that's what we want from our leaders, to take the advice from the first person they bump into in the hallway and go, ooh, was that a party? No.
Well, he also probably took the advice of the first person to say it wasn't a party. Because there might have been some other people who said, oh, actually, on a bit of a sticky wicket here. And of course you'd ignore that advice because you want him to win, to beat the lefties that you've been told to hate.
Yeah. But I think you're right. It's about pauses and punctuation, about truth and a lie. Like, for example, when Bill Clinton denied having sexual relations with someone, he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Pause, full stop. And then he said her name. So those were two separate things.
Yeah.
He didn't say which woman he was referring to. He just randomly said a woman's name.
Yeah. Oh, he might have even been looking at a woman at the time.
Yes.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yeah. And then Barbara Streisand. True.
Well, we think it's true. But, you know, if we found out that Bill Clinton had sexual relations with Barbara Streisand, yeah, I'd believe that too.
Yeah. Known as the Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
But the good thing is about this whole Boris Johnson thing, the upside is that the UK has such horrific libel laws that you can't ever say things that might not be true about someone because you could get sued because your defamation laws are so strict. And normally, like in America, First Amendment, we have that, protects free speech, and they even have extra protections for satire. So you can basically get away with saying fucking anything in America. It's great. But here, you could get sued even for making a joke. But we can call Boris Johnson a liar, 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 pants on fire, as you know, because you were on the MASH report, and you guys called him a liar on the BBC, and it went through all of the vetting of the BBC lawyers, and they just went, yeah, you can, yeah, that's fine. And he was prime minister then.
Yeah, and it was mainly based on the last two. Fired for lying as a journalist. Yeah. Fired as a politician by Michael Howard for lying. That's all you need to do. I think if you lie once, then you probably get away with it. But when you've got both in there, so the rest of the lies we didn't even need. We definitely know he's a liar, and yet people are pretending that they're shocked.
That's what makes it all the more shocking. How did he lie to us? I'm sure that's what his current partner thinks as well. But I know you lied to all those other women. Me?
Yeah. They all think you
thought we were special.
Yeah. After all that wallpaper we went through. Hey-ho.
I know. Just paint an accent wall. It's much easier.
Just as a comment on what you said there, though, that it's much better in America because you can say whatever the hell you like. Yeah, look where that ended up. As if freedom of speech can not have any problem. As if then people can just say some lies, and then if anyone actually points out their lie, just say it's the fake media or whatever the latest way of phrasing it.
Sometimes even the fake media can do a good thing. And I'll mention this because we have noticed that when we put Trump in the title of the show, more people watch. So this is our Trump moment. So you can include Trump in the title of the show. Now we're going to talk about him.
It's just the demographic
I didn't have time.
I
didn't have, it doesn't matter. It's the clicks, not the advertising revenue. I didn't have time to cut the clips into the show, but when I say I didn't have the time, I couldn't be fucked. Same thing.
Oh yeah.
But the day before we recorded this, which is whatever the day it is now, Trump went on Fox News, and he was with one of their actual journalists, Bret Baier, who purports to be more of an actual journalist. And it's a pretty devastating interview. And so Trump was exercising his First Amendment right to incriminate himself. So his whole defense in the documents case that he's been arrested for is basically that he didn't have any documents, or that he could have documents, but he could have declassified them, but he didn't declassify them, but he wanted to declassify them. And basically he said so many things that are contradictory to whatever defense he's going to come up with to protect him in this case. I mean, you just have to be sitting there in the prosecutor's office going, they're probably sitting there thinking, would this guy just shut up? We really wanted to have a hard trial here and prove our point, but he's basically confessed on Fox News.
But somehow it will be set up so that people will be sick of hearing that argument. That'll be the thing. Look, we've already been through this. Yeah, but you went through this on Fox News. You know. Yeah. Still not
the
sure.
The fact that he does confess his crimes repeatedly does make it harder, I think, to believe that he's actually committing crimes.
Yeah. And
normally you keep that on the down low.
Like how at some point we will all see here go and being surprised, like, what, he actually shot someone on Fifth Avenue. Why weren't we warned about it? We have been warned about this. If ever you're walking around there, wear some body armor, because you know that Donald Trump knows he could do that and still manage to win.
But you know how Donald Trump knows that he could do that and still win? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because in the interview, when he goes, are you ready? Because when he gets asked a hard question, he goes, okay, are you ready?
Is that his little
and then he
buffer?
confesses.
Right.
That's his little thing. He goes, are you ready? And then he incriminates himself.
It's like the millennial pause. But it's almost, are we rolling? We're definitely going to get this? Good.
Yeah. So that's fun. So put that in the title so that we get more clips. Yeah.
Oh, every week I try and put Boris and Trump in the title, even if we just mention them vaguely.
You might as well. Even if it's a lie, because that's what Boris would have wanted.
From now on, there could be a quote about Boris Johnson every week. We're allowed to do it. He started it. Yes,
exactly. Are we on to my stories now?
Might as well. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. The other one, I think this is my first headline. We didn't check. Is this? This is exciting news. A dose of MDMA transformed a white supremacist. Now, that title doesn't really explain which way it transformed him. I should have made that clearer. It didn't make a white supremacist. If you take ecstasy, you don't suddenly lynch someone. In this case, it had the opposite effect. Good. So someone took ecstasy and then they were less racist because the drug, apparently, I've never taken it. I don't take drugs.
That's why you're so racist.
And exactly, that's partly why I'm racist, because I'm afraid, because most of the people that are selling the drugs are minorities and I'm not going near them.
Oh, please, please,
I'm
everyone
kidding.
Get that as a joke. Please, everyone get that as a joke.
I'm kidding. I live in an affluent enough area where even the drug dealers are white.
That's not helped. You've doubled down.
I'm trying to get my spot on GB News.
Yeah, well, I don't even have a thing to. We had one saying insert missing joke. I can't even do that now. All we've got is the Tesco one. That's all that's left.
It's the same reason I'm banned at Tesco's, for being racist person on drugs. Those were jokes.
That should be the name of our new spin-off. Those were jokes.
Yes, this guy took MDMA, and then he wrote to this, because it was a randomized test to see what happens if you take MDMA. And then when he filled out the form at the end of it, he said, you should Google my name to see what I've done. So the scientists were like, oh my God. They Googled him, saw he was a white supremacist, and then like, what has he done? And it turns out he's joined a charity to fight racism.
Wow.
So
we could cure...
take drugs.
Oh, that's one way of using this as a problem solver. I was thinking we should put it in the water, like fluoride.
Yes.
Your teeth aren't great, put fluoride in the water. Bit of racism still in a country, a little bit of MDMA in there.
That's a good idea, because that would help with the conspiracy theorists who don't believe in the fluoride, because yes, the government would control our minds, but we would love them for doing it.
Yeah. Free your mind
there we
whilst
go.
Controlling it. I forgot that conspiracy theorists don't like fluoride. Oh, dear.
How could you forget that? It's like one of the original.
Yeah. Because when I was at university, we studied it, of how calcium fluoroapatite is more likely to remain in its solid form than calcium hydroapatite, which means it turns more of your saliva back into tooth and keeps all the teeth healthy. Because I learnt that, and then I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because fluoride is smaller than the hydrogen would be, so yeah, more electronegative. Makes a lot of sense.
I zoned out there. Yeah. What?
Makes a lot of sense. But the people who disagree with that never really address that point. It's weird, isn't it? They never really refute.
That goes back to Dr. Strangelove. That was fluoride in the water.
Really?
Remember that?
I remember the
classic
film.
Peter Sellers film.
I watched it for a long while.
Another good news. So good news. Take drugs. First story.
And they're going to get
stop racism.
Again.
Take drugs. Stop racism.
Great.
Understand jokes as being ironically racist. Next story is good news for me as well. I'm excited about this. Yeah. A daytime nap is good for the brain.
I think you should have had one before doing this.
Add to that, take MDMA and then take a daytime nap. Best day ever.
Yeah.
Does it make you sleepy? Ecstasy?
Not famously, no. I mean, at some point, after a full night of drinking loads of water and dancing loads.
Okay. I don't know. I've never.
Neither have I. I'm not even sure if that's true. I can't remember what I took.
But the bottom line is naps. But you know me, Steve, since the kids were born, gigging at night, doing this. I've been a big time napper, nap every day. Love it. Got some shtick from some people in my house, not my children or the dog, for taking naps over the years. Science says it's good for me now.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
There was a thing in the news, actually, which relates to this. We covered this on the radio show, so you can get the podcast of that I do. Mr. Stephen Allen on the radio is the podcast. But the news story, it was a survey done for Father's Day. So they were just asking dads what's their favourite way to relax. And according to the survey, it was sitting in the garden eating chocolate. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love chocolate. I don't like being in the garden, but if there's chocolate there, I'll be in the garden. But all of that is wrong. The second one was like watching Netflix, blah, blah, blah. Forget it. The best way to relax as a dad is in secret. For the love of God, don't let anyone find out that you are relaxing, because if that triggers the old he's relaxing radar, there's a price to pay for that. So I know what you mean about taking a nap sometimes comes with consequences.
Is relaxing in secret? Is that a euphemism?
No, that's the thing. It's not even a euphemism anymore. I think the best thing to do is make sure that no one knows that you took a nap or relaxed. Otherwise, you will have to redress that injustice.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you think I've got a shed that locks from the inside? And it's soundproof. Because the radio show or because of the snoring? I don't know. And no one can ever prove either way. So,
yeah. We don't even publish this anymore. No one watches it. We just... All those views you see on the YouTube in the counter, it's made up.
It's me pressing F5.
Yep, exactly. The final thing I wanted to mention, I don't have a headline on this, but I'm very, we see a lot of people get a lot of traction based on slagging off Harry and Meghan.
Yep.
Have you heard of them?
Yes.
Have you heard of him? So he was a prince of Britain, England. She was a TV star and activist. They got married. And anyway, long story short, they had a podcast. And it's just been dropped from Spotify. It was a $20 million deal. And so I just think, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of slagging off Harry and Meghan. I just think this is a message to Spotify. You don't have to give us $20 million and we will make a podcast for you.
Oh, that's where you're going with it. I thought you were going to say you don't have to give us 20 million and feel free to cancel our podcast.
No.
Just the same.
Just give us. I mean, what would we take? Let's be ridiculously generous. Let's say they gave us 10 grand. Yep. Let's go for 10. You'd be happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, you divide it by 20.
Not got his glasses on because of the spot.
Yeah, times 100%.
Times 100%.
That's 0.005%. Of $20 million.
Yes, they could afford that.
We'll do 12 podcasts a year for that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there'll be a lot like this. There'll just be this.
That's a good pitch.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we might already be on Spotify,
They owe us 0.0005%.
Yeah. Because
this is on Spotify here.
The
right
podcast version of this, because the podcast version of this is hosted on Anchor, same as the podcast of the radio thing. And definitely my radio show podcast is on Spotify now. And we were talking about this the other day about how, I do a show every day. It's only about 10 minutes of material, 5 to 7 news stories with just read out the story, do some jokes on it. And I'm always beaten in the download charts by white noise. People subscribe to podcasts of and I do less well than that. And this
sounds a lot like that.
This bothers me, though, because, the podcast comes from the radio show, which is actually broadcast on FM, which means on 107.5 megahertz is me. But if you just slightly move that dial, you can hear something that is more successful than me.
We're not coming up.
Oh. Beaten by white noise. It's because you've not had enough MDMA. White noise would be the name of your band. If you
my racist band.
People won't get that it's a joke again. Eric is just joking right now, although he is technically banned from Tesco's.
Yeah, I come up in search, but
maybe
in some weird ways. I don't know. I don't think we're on podcast. I think that there's a market there for us, Spotify.
Yeah. And
you got some extra money lying around. Give us maybe 20 grand. 0.0001%.
And didn't the boss of Spotify really complain about how they took that much money and didn't make any podcasts or made?
No, there's one of your podcasts. No, it's just like one of the dudes who produces stuff, but now it's been labeled as Spotify boss. I'm sure if you watch that channel that I used to go on, that you on, they'll talk about it being the boss of Spotify. Didn't even, but it was a guy who'd spoken out about them before, and he's someone who is an executive at Spotify.
Right.
But he's not the boss.
Oh, he's a boss, but not the boss.
He's a boss.
No, I got that from Sky News. I was watching that because whenever I'm at home, yesterday I had a full day of me looking after the lad. And so I put TV on, and he doesn't know the difference between Mr. Tumble and Sky News. So why do I have to sit around learning sign language? So we watch a lot of rolling news. But I do try and make sure, when it comes to rolling news, I don't want to, I keep it bland so that it doesn't necessarily pick a side this early.
Why don't you give him some MDMA and that'll make sure he's... Can you give it to a 1.5-year-old?
No, I don't. I really don't think you can. Have you watched much Sky News? Have you seen is it called TMI or FYI or something like that? They've got a show called TMI or FYI.
For kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes me just want to punch the screen. It is, because in case you've not seen it, it's a new show for children, and you're thinking, well, that's effectively what we seem to be doing with some of the jokes we do. But so it's worse than this in that it's for kids and it's presented by kids. And if that were the pitch and it was successfully done, that'd be all right. But it's not presented by kids. It's presented by drama school kids. Oh my! Hi and welcome. Oh, Jesus wept. Yeah,
that could be me. I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, what ages do you put on your Spotify? Not your Spotify, your Spotlight page. I can do. I am in my 50s, but I can do down to 6-year-old.
I've got spots.
That's true. You could do teen.
I'm like a teenage boy.
Slightly bearded teenage boy. The only way you'd pass as a teenage boy is if the casting director was also the person in charge of stopping migrants. Hey, there you go. That'll.
Or worked on this morning.
Yeah.
This morning. Anyway. All right, I've got to go buy a bed, and that's not a euphemism either. So there we go. We thank you for watching. I think we solved some problems there. And I'm sure we'll never hear about Boris Johnson again, although he will still be in the title of all of our shows. Yeah. We will be back next week.
Yeah.
Are we putting this out tonight?
I just wanted to say, I don't know. We can have a chat about that maybe when the credits are rolling.
Okay.
But from the point of view of people watching it, we're putting it out tonight.
There we go. Yeah, you're watching this live.
And seeing as Boris Johnson is now just a newspaper columnist, anyone can do that. Feel free to track down my newspaper columns in the Romford Recorder, Islington Gazette, and my column goes in the Islington Gazette now. And they didn't actually ask to include because it's just owned by the same people that I write for. So I think they've set me up for a fall. At some point, someone's going to call me part of the metropolitan elite because I write for the Islington Gazette. Fair play. I wish I could be part of the metropolitan elite. Oh
yeah, I didn't tell you. I've got an article, a weekly article now.
Yeah,
in the Daily Mail.
Right.
I do it under a pen name, Boris Johnson.
Oh, right.
But it's there every week.
It makes more sense because I thought he would have written about politics, but apparently he just did the worst ever advertorial for weight loss injections.
I mean, go with what you know.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's also available in the Derbyshire
Times.
There we go. You know what I mean? So we're up today. How can I be part of the Metropolitan Elite? I write for the Derbyshire Times. It's the same column.
Bastard.
It's the same
Traded
column.
up.
I don't think I told you.
So,
I've got a thing in the Herald, in the Scottish Herald, published a little article of mine, and there's a thing in the Spectator coming up soon.
Ooh.
So now I'm writing for the Spectator, and Boris Johnson's writing for the Daily Mail. Something's weird has happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to go take a nap after I drop a few ecstasy.
Yeah, fair enough. Drop a few ecstasy. You're so hip. So yeah, I think we're successfully up to date and Kofi and all that stuff. And then we'll do another one next week.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this from Comic Solving Problems.
And if you feel like it, go ahead and like the video.
Or subscribe. Commitment.